Here's how to make your music playlist 10 times better. This is Michael Young. He sings with the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. If you haven't heard of them, pause this video and go take a listen. But even if you aren't into choirs, Michael's about to share a musical tip that's going to help everyone enjoy their playlist more. And it's so simple you can start right now. What is this mind-blowing advice?
We're missing perspective.
You would not believe the story behind some of these songs.
Losing 3 of your daughters in the ocean.
Listen to what Michael has to say and then try it with your favorite playlist. Your favorite song might be even better than you thought. Or worse.
I'm really excited to hear about some of the things with your book because
you bet.
You do a lot of, at least some, Facebook Lives where you like to sing on Sundays, and I've seen several of those.
Oh, awesome!
And
Thank you.
and so I know that you've got a major background in history and music and singing, and then when you had written this book, "Oh Say Can You Sing," I'm just really interested in hearing some of the background stories.
Oh yeah, you bet. I've always been really patriotic. I grew up in what they call as an Air Force brat. Affectionately, that's not a pejorative. Do we call ourselves, or you'll hear, oh, I'm an Army brat, But my dad was an Air Force pilot, and so we grew up living on Air Force bases most of my growing up years. And they take their patriotic holidays very seriously in the Air Force. And they always do amazing things like cool flyovers. And we F-16s flying over and.
Was your dad in any of those planes that did fly?
Oh no! See, he didn't fly the fighter jets. He flew they're called C-5 Galaxies.
Oh yeah,
they're the biggest plane in the Air Force. So
wow.
he would have things like tanks.
Yeah, those are the big
buses.
They're the big cargo planes.
Yeah, like they're the ones where you see like the nose of the plane goes down.
Yeah,
and then they just it's a ramp, and they just So yeah, I grew up feeling very grateful for the country and very proud of my country. My dad's a veteran of a couple of conflicts, and my grandfather was a veteran of World War II. And what's interesting is my grandfather was a musical soldier. So of course he was in the Army. He was a soldier, but he was also a musician in the Army and was stationed out in Hawaii and was part of the military band out there. So he kind of brought those two, all of us together.
Talented. What did he play?
He was a trumpet player and singer. He was a really, really great singer. I grew up, we had this picture of him in his Army uniform that we had hanging in our house. And when people would walk by and be like, why are you dressed up like that, Mike? He really looked like me at the time, like when I was a teenager.
Wow!
And so he's like, no, that's my grandfather.
Oh my goodness!
Like cool cosplay, man. No, that's not me. But I've always grown up with a deep love for our country, but also, of course, a deep love of music. My mom was a piano teacher.
You're surrounded by music.
Oh yeah, and always have been. We were a regular Von Trapp family. I have 7 younger siblings, and we would do stuff together. So there were a little more grumbling from some, but I always let's do it.
And so you're the oldest in the family.
I am. I was the sort of the man of the house when Dad was gone a lot. With especially earlier in my childhood, he'd have to be out of the country for long periods of time, especially during some of the Middle East conflicts. He'd be gone for quite a while. And so, I grew up oldest of 8, kind of being the surrogate, the man of the house for longer periods of time. But I just, one of the things that we did together as a family was music. And so I've always just been fascinated not only by music, but the people behind the music and hearing about how do these enduring songs come to be, and as I've gotten older, I've actually gotten into researching that sort of thing. I'm one of those guys who actually reads the liner notes in albums that come out.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Most people are maybe if they crack it, maybe they want to see the lyrics of something. But I am actually because I write a lot of music myself, and so I'm fascinated by like how did people get this creative spark? Was it something they sat down and really worked on, or
Right.
was it something that just came to them? Like, was there some great, event that happened that inspired the song? And then the answer is all of the above.
Yeah, absolutely.
One in particular that I love in "Oh Say Can You Sing" is how the Battle Hymn of the Republic came to be. It was this really well-educated woman who she came with her minister during the Civil War to come see the Union Army camp. And while they were there, they were attacked by the Confederate soldiers, and the Union Army was victorious. She watched them as they drove back their opponents. And her minister, she'd been talking to him earlier in the day. They'd heard this other song that the soldiers were singing called "John Brown's Body." As well, he was an abolitionist and kind of a hero. But it was very much a secular song. It was kind of like, hey, the soldiers, with singing. And the minister's like, you know what? That's such a great tune. You ought to write better words for it, basically. Something that's a little bit more noble, and maybe even religious. And she said so the morning after she'd witnessed this battle, she was lying in her tent in the early morning. And as she woke, she said, like, the words just like distilled in my mind, like it came like verse after verse. It kind of just came to me, and then she got up. She's like, "I gotta write this down. I'm gonna forget this." And so
Mine eyes have
seen the glory of exactly.
Wow.
And then she wrote it down, and that became the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So like there are some times when really I feel like, yeah, it was just an inspiration from God, or it just distilled on her mind. She was in the right place to kind of be inspired by this. She was thinking about these things and had this conversation with the minister whom she was with, but it's just so fascinating to hear about that, and it makes me love that song even more. And luckily, I sing with the Tabernacle Choir, and I get to sing that song quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
it's a really thrilling opportunity when we do that. And knowing the background of that song and its incredible origins helped me appreciate it even more while I'm singing, and also puts a human face on it. Like I'm a songwriter. Like I relate to these people, and I know their struggles. I know how many songs you have to write sometimes in order to find one that really sticks. You write a lot of kind of mediocre songs, and then once in a while you get that diamond in the rough that's like, oh wow, this is the one.
Music has such a powerful way of connecting our souls to the divine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I oftentimes think of Doctrine and Covenants 25 anytime I'm thinking about this, because my background as well is music first, lyrics second. I'm not saying yours is, but mine definitely is that. Music I can hear chord progressions. I play piano by ear.
That's awesome.
And so there's a lot of music first moves me, and then lyrics second. In fact, I often tell my wife, like, I'm lyric blind. I can't hear the words very easily.
Oh, interesting.
Because the music is so overpowering in my heart. But
Yeah.
but when I can slow down enough to really grasp the message behind the lyrics, and that combines with the movements in the song, then it is so powerful. Just like D&C 25 says, the song of the righteous truly is a prayer unto me. And I've just always felt really, really impacted. In fact, I went through a really hard trial in 2019, and there was one particular hymn, Be Still My Soul, and there was an arrangement that I found on YouTube that I would get in my car on those days that I was just completely broken down and turn up the sound system in there as silent, and I could be just overpowered by that music and that message. And it truly was a healing experience. Really, really was. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for what hymns and what music can do for us, and especially when we understand either the lyrics and or the background. And that's actually one of the things I'm very excited about for in the new hymns as they're being released. More and more of them have the story behind the hymns.
Yeah, they do. And that's an incredible thing where if you have it online, you can literally just there's a link. You click on it, and it has this blurb about it. I know the one of the BYU professors who's working on that, where it's his job
Really?
to go do research and research these hymns. Like I was just talking to him the other day, and he said, "Well, I'm headed to the library. I'm going to research, this particular song." Like I was like, that's wonderful. It's a more complete picture where you've got the scriptures right there that relate to them or that they're based on, and we have the history and getting to know, because every song really is like you said, it's a prayer. It's a part of somebody's testimony. It's part of somebody's experience. It comes out of someone's experience, and that's such a fascinating topic.
So when I sometimes think of how are the hymns written, sometimes I'm thinking, oh, it's somebody up at the church office building who's got a perfect life, and they're just writing out this hymn, and everything's good for them. And that's just not the case,
No.
right? So one of the YSAs in our ward, just a couple Sundays ago, I think it was "It Is Well With My Soul." I think it was that.
That's such a great song.
You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but
Go ahead. Yeah.
but the background to that was just such. I think it was that one, but it was just written by someone who had just witnessed such terrible things in their life, and their heart was just completely broken. But yet, it's their testimony that's pulling them back, saying, "Because of the Savior, it is well with my soul." I want you to sing "It Is Well," just the chorus.
Yeah.
I'll harmonize to you,
Let's do it.
and then I want you to tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely. It is well.
It is well
with my soul.
with my soul.
It is well. It is well with my soul. So the story of "It Is Well with My Soul" is one of the most, I would say, intense, but also inspiring ones. It tells the story of Horatio Spafford. He was a Chicago businessman. He'd already been through a lot of tough things. He lost his entire business in the Great Chicago Fire, for example. But he was recovering from that, and he was planning to spend just a wonderful Christmas with his wife and his 3 daughters in Paris. So he had a few things to finish up with his business. So he said to his wife, take our daughters, go on the ship, and I will meet you in Paris shortly before Christmas. Unfortunately, during that ship voyage over the sea, the boat that his wife and his 3 daughters were on collided with another boat and sank. And all 3 of his daughters died. They drowned. And his wife barely made it. She got to Paris and sent him a telegram back, and 2 words just said, "saved alone." It was just her. So heartbroken, Horatio gets on a ship himself. And as he's going over the sea, the ship's captain, who was aware of the incident that had happened, came to him and told Horatio, "Oh, this is the spot where that ship went down with your family." And Horatio said that, he, instead of looking down into the water, he looked up to the heavens, and the words of a poem started coming to him. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roar. So he wrote this down, and eventually it became the hymn we know as "It Is Well With My Soul." And he made it to Paris. He and his wife went on to do great things with their life. They became amazing philanthropists, actually, in the Holy Land, and it went on to live godly, wonderful lives. They didn't let this incredible tragedy that would have crushed most people.
This is why I love the background to songs, because I think oftentimes we think someone up at church headquarters who has a perfect life is writing some of these hymns down, and when you recognize that type of heartbreak of losing 3 of your daughters in the ocean, where you can't even say goodbye to their bodies, they're just gone and
They're
lost.
just gone.
That heartbreak seems insurmountable.
I can't even imagine. I have 3 children myself, and the thought of something like that happening, man, I would. I think of something like that did happen. I would turn to this song specifically because it's such a powerful expression of faith, and that unshakable faith in knowing that this life is not it, and that even our most intense, harrowing experiences will be healed and made right through the atonement. So I love knowing the background to that song. And so whenever I get a chance to sing it, I sing it with gusto. And I'm just so glad it got added to our new hymn book, because I think it's a timeless message, and one that we really need in the world today.
This is real life.
It is.
And it's actually something I've been thinking about lately, where we oftentimes hear we'll never be given more trials than we can bear. And I feel like that's not true.
No.
Like we can really have more than we can bear, unless we are tied and connected to the atonement of Jesus Christ. When we have him yoked to us, then we can bear these impossible things of losing our children in the ocean, or different things that we go through. I mean, that would break me completely unless I was tied to the Savior.
Yeah, you need that enabling power to get you through that. And I some of the best songs, and a lot of them even in here, like you said, are born out of incredible tragedy and heartbreak. And then knowing about that, and knowing that about the people who brought them forth, I think makes these songs even more powerful, like as a way to heal, just like you're talking about with "Be Still My Soul." Like knowing about the heartbreak that these songwriters and these went through, like helps them be healing songs, or helps them be encouraging songs. You know, I love in here. We've all heard the one, "When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again," and we're like, sometimes we sing it about ants.
The ants go marching one by one.
Yeah, totally. But in this case, it was sung on both sides of the Civil War, because it was about their sons coming home from the war and being okay, and we'll all be glad when Johnny comes marching home. And you think about, gosh, that there was a poor mother in the north and a poor mother in the south, both singing this, just praying,
same song,
singing the same song, and praying to God that their sons would come home, or their husbands, or their other relatives who were fighting. Just things like that. That having that human side, that human story that connects us to the past too, I think is such a great thing. It also helps us appreciate the great blessings that we have right now. When you look back, one thing that I tried to do in "Oh Say Can You Sing" is highlight different periods of American history. So there's some songs that are from the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War I and II. Different times of great conflict, and that produce these amazing songs, and then that tells these human stories about how these great Americans got through what they got through. And one thing about this is it not only highlights music, but it highlights what I call some of the unsung heroes of our country, where it talks about people in each one of these time periods that did really incredible, selfless things for other people, and were just great examples of I think the Americans that we can be today. And I hope that people walk away from this book just feeling grateful for the people, grateful for the artistic expressions that they left behind us, to help us, to motivate us. Times are still hard. They're hard in different ways.
I think this is part of that turning the hearts of the father to the children to the father.
Absolutely.
When we truly understand the experiences that others have gone through, their testimony of the Savior Jesus Christ, and how they overcame their heartbreak and the experiences that they went through, it really helps me. Someone, for example, the Civil War, 150 years later and change, to really just appreciate the heritage that we have in the United States and what we have gone through to continue to help all people have life, liberty, and that pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, I totally agree. I see so many. I hear a lot of people talking about the different problems that we have, and I'm like, yes, we have problems, but I think we need to have these conversations with a backdrop of gratitude. I feel like gratitude just it solves so many problems. It softens hearts. It puts you in a place where you're actually ready to talk to other people and with the Spirit, and like our President Nelson say, contention never leads to inspired solutions. But when we approach these conversations with an attitude of gratitude and saying, this we've been given so much, and so many people have sacrificed for the great things that we have, that's where I think the healing can start. And that's one reason I wanted to highlight both the music and the people in this book, because I think there's just is a rich well of things from which to draw. And we should look to our ancestors. We should look to them and appreciate them.
So do you have another story that is in the back of your mind, background story that you can share with us?
Oh, from the book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, there's quite a few. A lot of us have heard about Irving Berlin, right? He's just a famous composer. He's written some just timeless songs. But not a lot of people realize his background. So he's the person who wrote God Bless America. But he didn't start out as an American. He was raised in Russia. He was in a Jewish family, and they were experiencing extreme persecution in Russia. So his name wasn't Irving Berlin; it was I believe Israel Balin or something like that. He was a young Jewish boy, and they came to the United States in the early 1900s. And he just said immediately, I loved this country. We were so persecuted in Russia just for being Jewish and for believing what we did. And here we were finally able to practice our religion. And not long after he came to the United States, he enlisted in the army. So World War I, it was about that time. And while he was in the army, he was reflecting on his great blessings that had come to him, and he wrote God Bless America.
Wow.
So that song too just has so much more meaning to me now. And you think about that's the story of so many of our own ancestors, fleeing religious persecution and just wanting the freedom to worship God like we believe. And this heartfelt song that we sing now came out of that same tradition. And I think the song, he wrote it when he was during World War I, and I could gather dust for a little bit. He wrote down the words, and it was kind of like a personal thing to him. But then he came back from the war and started becoming a really well-known musician, and doing shows on Broadway and things like that. And so when it came to World War II breaking out, this song got dusted back off the shelf and became this just a sensation.
Did he write the music to it as well?
Yes, he wrote the words and the music. Amazing man. And so then it was used during World War II it became extremely popular as a sort of a patriotic. There was a singer named Kate Smith who made it really popular during that time. But not a lot of people know the beginning of it. So they're often when it's sung today, we just start with God Bless America. But like there's in World War II, he wrote a little intro. It says, while the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a silent prayer. God bless America. And then it goes into God bless America. Wow. So it really is a prayer. And I like the version we do with the tab choir actually keeps that intro.
That intro there.
Which I really love, because then they're like, okay, yes, this is a prayer. And I think is exactly what we need right now. Though I will say, it's kind of funny. another song in here, "This Land Is Your Land," was written as kind of a response to "God Bless America." That was written by Woody Guthrie, and he thought "God Bless America" was a little. He didn't care for it very much. Thought it was a little saccharine, but so he wanted to write. He grew up in Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl. You know, he got kind of a very different background.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so he wrote "This Land Is Your Land" as a kind of reflection of his experience living in America and talking about the of different regions of America. And honestly, there's a lot more verses to that one too. What's really interesting is I talk about a lot of the ways the songs have changed over time. And a lot of them were actually started out as British songs that got then turned into American songs. Like "My Country 'Tis of Thee" started out as "God Bless Great George the King," you know, like, and then I say it gained its independence and became an American song.
An American song. That's great.
But like "This Land Is Your Land" actually kind of, there are some verses that kind of, it was like more of a protest song. It was talking about some of the things that were wrong with America at the time. And so those verses have kind of
made their way out.
Yeah, made their way out
of the spotlight.
I know. And so we're like, and now it's kind of, we sing it more of a positive America song. What a lot of people don't know too is there's actually a Canadian version of "This Land Is Your Land" that he wrote too. We sung it once.
So 3 countries have this song.
Yeah. And then we actually sang it with the Tabernacle Choir. We went on to tour to Canada once, and so it changes like that. Instead of it's not.
This land was made.
Well, no, so that stays. It talks about different locations.
Oh, okay.
Like it doesn't say like from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters.
Gotcha.
It's like from Nova Scotia to the Arctic Circle, or something like that. I don't remember, but
that's fun.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh man, I'm glad we have a teleprompter because I would never remember this otherwise.
Write it on your hand.
Yeah, I'm like the Canadian version. Yeah.
So if there's one last thing that you want listeners to kind of take away from the why behind why you did what you did with this book, or why you felt inspired, that you want people to understand the history of the book, or history of the songs, what is the why?
Yeah, I think perspective is the big one. I follow a lot of different voices on social media and in the news and whatnot, and sometimes I just I look at it and say, like, we're missing perspective. We're missing a lot. A lot of people are I feel like missing where we've been. They want to talk a lot about where we're going and where we are right now without talking about where we've been and the lessons we can learn from that. Of course, our ancestors weren't perfect. But there's so much we can learn from their imperfections, and our ancestors are going to look back at us and shake our heads at a few things, I'm sure.
Yeah, those imperfections, that heartbreak, that experience. That's oftentimes what I share with youth is experience is so it's worth its weight in gold.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you can learn it from others and really garner that, it just helps us in remarkable ways.
Yeah, you become a more well-rounded person, and you become, when you see other people's struggles from many different backgrounds, I think it helps you be a more empathetic person too. And so the more we learn about other people, the more we can love them, and the more we can appreciate them. And so that's what I want to do through my books about music. I've written a few now. I've done some about Christmas music. I've done some about Easter music. This is one about patriotic music. But I think the aim is the same, is that we want to reach back into the past and benefit from that experience and live a fuller, more understanding life that helps us be better people in the present.